A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Well, the U.S. Air Force targeted 3 key locations in Iran's nuclear program. They include Isfahan, the location of a significant research base, Natanz, and Fordow. Details about the damage caused by the strikes is not yet known. But as we just heard there, Donald Trump says the 3 sites have been obliterated.
There is the president in the Situation Room, which is in the West Wing, just yards from the Oval Office. He came back to Washington late this afternoon. That was a planned trip back. He'd spent the day at his golf course in New Jersey, but we knew he was coming back to the White House for a briefing in the Situation Room at 6 p.m. This evening. But at that stage, of course, we did not know that that would be a briefing at which he would have already authorized the strikes and he would watch them unfold. So there, the president on the left, in front of him in the yellow is Susie Wiles, his chief of staff. General Raisin Kane is there, the chair of the Joint Chiefs, the top general there, and I think behind him is the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who was alongside the president as he addressed the nation a short while ago. So images that will now be the face that the president wants to be portrayed with right around the world. world now. Peace through strength is what he says this is. An extraordinarily audacious, decisive strike, a strike which he says has completely and totally obliterated Iran's three main nuclear sites. We do not yet have clarity on just how successful, independent clarity on how successful those strikes have been. On one end of the scale, as you would expect, Iranian state television saying that the damage is minimal. Trump saying precisely the opposite. As the sun rises in Tehran, the satellite images will become available over the course of time, and they will give some clarity over just how successful this strike has been. An extraordinary night, and certainly from where we were 24 hours ago, where Donald Trump was saying he would allow for another couple of weeks of diplomacy, he changed his mind, and we saw the result of that this evening.
That was Sky's Mark Stone there, bringing us up to date with our rolling news this morning, continuing coverage of the breaking news that the United States has completed 3 strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. They are Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan. Those are the nuclear sites that the US has confirmed it has directly struck. President Trump calling it a very successful operation, saying that the US military had sent in those bombs to strike those nuclear facilities. There was also confirmation via US media, Trump speaking to the US media there, confirming that 6 bunker buster bombs had been used to target these these nuclear sites in Iran. In particular, the key there was Fordow, the site of Fordow, which is deep underground and reinforced with concrete, is the key that Israel wanted unlocking. They asked for US help in targeting that. They needed those bunker-busting bombs. They needed the B-2 stealth bombers, which we did get confirmation were used in these strikes. So for the first time in over a week since this conflict had begun between Iran and Israel, the US has now directly got involved, has launched its own military action, which Donald Trump hopes and wants, he said in his address, to be the only action they take. But they have urged Iran to now agree to an end to this war and to seek peace going forward. Our coverage will continue at the top of the hour. This is Sky News. It's 4 o'clock. Our breaking story this morning. After days of uncertainty, US President Donald Trump orders strikes on 3 nuclear sites inside Iran.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
The US Air Force deploys its B-2 bombers to drop 6 bunker buster bombs on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Inside the Situation Room, the White House releases images from last night's national security meeting. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister says the decision to target the 3 nuclear sites will change history. Now, the world looks towards the White House and the Middle East to see what could happen next in the conflict. Hello, good morning. And we begin with breaking news. After days of uncertainty, the United States have completed 3 strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. President Trump said the bunker buster bombs completely obliterated Iran's nuclear sites. In an address to the nation, he argued the action was showing peace through strength. Well, despite President Trump's claims, we've had the first reaction to come out of Iranian state media in which the effectiveness of the attacks are being downplayed. Here, a man is speaking about the Fordow enrichment plant.
The news confirmation is coming in that apparently only 2 tunnels, the exit and the entrance, have been damaged. And the President of the United States has bluffed again, claiming that they have destroyed Fordo and have caused serious damage to other nuclear sites.
Well, our US correspondent Mark Stone had the latest from Washington as he spoke to my colleague Yalda Hakim.
It was at 7:50 in the evening here in Washington that a social media post on Donald Trump's Truth Social account dropped. That was the first moment that we discovered that he had indeed authorized an operation. He said, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran." He said a full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. And over the course of the subsequent hours, we got more detail on what had been hit. The 3 main nuclear sites had been hit. A total of 6 massive bunker-busting bombs were dropped on these sites, on the main site at Fordow, and Tomahawk missiles on the other 2 sites that you can see there. We then had detail of from the speech, from the address to the nation itself, an address where he claimed that these 3 sites had been completely and totally obliterated. Now they must make peace, he said. He sought as well to reassure the American people and to justify his decision tonight to the American people who remember a significant number of the people who voted for him were very against him taking any action in this faraway war as they would see it. He has decided to defy them, and part of his statement tonight in the White House was an attempt to justify that, to remind them just how involved in malign activities Iran has been over so many decades and has resulted in the death of so many American service people across the Middle East. So a justification there, and then a message as well to the Iranians. He pointed out that the operation that took place this evening in Iran was the most complicated, the most difficult operation that they could have carried out. Anything that comes after this, he said, will be much, much easier. That was a warning to the supreme leader, a warning to the Iranian government. Now, he says, after the strength comes the peace, in his view, and he is demanding that the Iranian leadership now fall into line, and his hope is that a line is drawn under this and that nothing more happens. But as we've been discussing, a massive, massive gamble for the president. Will Iran retaliate? And if it does, how successful will that retaliation be?
Mark, we heard from the president, but there's also some images coming out of the Situation Room.
Just one image, a still photograph, which was, we're told, was taken during the Situation Room briefing a few hours ago while these attacks were ongoing. I think we can put it on the screen. You can see it. It is an image. Oh, we've got more than one. I've only seen one of them. So there is the president in the Situation Room, which is in the West Wing, just yards from the Oval Office. He came back to Washington late this afternoon. That was a planned trip back. He'd spent the day at his golf course in New Jersey, but we knew he was coming back to the White House for a briefing in the Situation Room at 6 p.m. This evening. But at that stage, of course, we did not know that that would be a briefing at which he would have already authorized the strikes and he would watch them unfold. So there, the president on the left, in front of him in the yellow is Susie Wiles, his chief of staff. General Raisin Kane is there, the chair of the Joint Chiefs, the top general there, and I think behind him is the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who was alongside the president as he addressed the nation.